I am Praise Chukunonye, and I'm here with Mr. Swier, Miedema, and we will be talking a little bit about business management. So, first of all, Mr. Swier has 25 years of experience in business management and consulting, and throughout the 25 years, there are a lot of things that I believe he has gathered together throughout his years in business management, and he's going to share a lot of them with us today. So, first of all, we want to start with strategic planning. So, I believe that business management involves a lot of strategic planning, and a lot of things are involved in getting a business running, right? Getting a business running. And I think it's one of the basics of the business management. So, Mr. Swier, what can you tell us a little bit about strategic planning? You have 25 years of experience in this, so I believe there are a lot of things that you have seen which are normal, but personally you have experienced a lot of things throughout your years in business management.
Okay, thank you very much, Praise, to be a guest today. I have done about 25 years of management consultancy in all kinds of organizations, and helps organizations to also to build up the strategies. And what is important there is that you, first of all, get a strategy which makes sense, not only to the leadership, but also to the rest of the organization. Because if they don't support you in your leadership and they don't support you in your strategy, you'll have a very hard time to get all the noses in the same direction. Let's call it that way. Because you need to operate as a one direction organization. What we see very often is that people sometimes do not agree with what's happening in the organization, and they start obstructing the results, which is very bad for the organization, because it costs you a lot of money to get that back in order again. So it's very important that you get a support from the people in your organization, at least the key people in your organizations, to support your strategy. And a strategy is always aimed at a success for the customer. Because if it isn't that, you won't get any customers. It's as simple as that. So you have to find out, what does my customer, my presumed customer, what do they need? How can we help them and help them understand that we are building a product or a service which is helping them get better results?
And I think you made a very good point there concerning understanding the market you are trying to push out the service or the product to. In terms of, you said, strategic planning involves knowing the customers, right? Knowing the people who you want to push the service, the product to. So I think that's the problem that a lot of startups have, right? Startups and the founders have, because a lot of market analysis is based on the profitability, right, of the product, without even looking at what the clients are ready to accept, right? What the people are ready to accept. So I think you made a very valuable point there. And you also mentioned something about the wastage of resources because of lack of strategic planning. So we can go into a little bit into resource management, and then what can you tell us about that?
Well, it is so important to have your offering attuned to what the customer really needs. Because I don't know about you, but if you see a product what you want, you are often inclined to pay much more for it than a product who said, yeah, it's okay, but I'm not very enthusiastic about it. So that's how the big brands work. They try to make a product which is high in esteem by the customer. So when you buy that, you feel great because you've got a BMW or Mercedes or whatever you're aiming for, and that's why branding is so important, that you create a brand. But it all starts with a product which makes sense to the customer. Oh yeah, this is worth my money. This is worth my effort to get the money to buy this. So the first thing you have to do is find out, do we have an offering which adds to the value for the customer? And if you do that, if you keep on looking for that, and it takes sometimes a lot of research and testing and finding out. But the problem with very many small companies, they are enthusiastic about the product they have thought of, but they haven't really tested it against the potential customers they are trying to aim for. So talk to your potential customers all the time, as much as you can, because there you get the information you need to market in a proper way. Is that helpful?
Yes, true. Very, very helpful. So you said getting accurate data from. You mentioned something about getting accurate data from the people who you want to push your products to, mm-hmm. and then which is where you mentioned something like branding. So what can you tell us about branding? What is this branding? A lot of people talk about branding. I said, oh, branding is this important, branding is that important. How important actually is branding?
Branding is important as soon as you've achieved some position in the market. Then it becomes important. In the beginning, when you're just starting off, when you're still maybe a one-person organization, the main thing is you have a product which appeals to the customer, which they like. You just say, oh yeah, I want this. That's the first thing you have to do. And after that, you have to start add the potential customers to your group, so there will be more buying of your product. But branding is important to make sure that people understand what they are buying, and that they're not disappointed by buying your stuff and seeing, oh my God, this is not really doing what it's supposed to do. And we've seen that a lot, of course, with a lot of products which fail because they do not really fulfill the desires of the customer. And branding is important as soon as you're a bit bigger and you have already a small kind of a market position. So don't start with branding.
All right. So what do you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So you wanted to finish something. You were saying don't start with branding. So I would like you to finish that off.
Don't start with branding. Yeah, sorry. As I said, don't start with branding, because branding is important if you want to make a very quick start in a market. But then very often the branding is okay and they don't have the product, so they can't buy it. And if something is really disastrous for launching a new product or a new service or a new organization, when you cannot deliver, you lose the most customer when you cannot deliver, because they will never come back.
Right. Thank you for that. So what do you think? Because you've mentioned a few parts. You mentioned about we mentioned something about strategic planning, and then we mentioned the finance part. And the leader and the company might lose if they do not get the right business management. If do not get their business management correctly, right? So I wanted to ask them, what is the most important business management components that a leader should focus on, that the founder, the CEO, the person in charge of the business, what are the things that are the components of business management that they should focus on?
Yeah, it is very important that as a founder, as a starter of the company, you have a specific idea and you have the enthusiasm and the power and the energy to go for it and build the beginning. But it's also very important that as a founder, you also know what your restrictions are, because not every founder is as good in business management or in bookkeeping or whatever the other tasks there are in the organization, or even people management. Very many starters are very good at creating a product. We're not very good at managing their people in the organization, and that is one of the most important things you can do as a leader. You have to understand that sometimes you need additional people to help you with that. No one has all the qualities all the time. And you can see that, and people who are really successful are the people who know what people to get around them to build an organization. So their deficiencies they have, and we all have deficiencies. And I have deficiencies too. I have a few things which I'm not good at. I'm good at talking to people. I'm pretty good at selling stuff. I'm also quite good in analyzing stuff, and I'm also quite good in coaching people. So that's okay. I'm not very good at designing new products. I'm not very good at that. So I do let that do by other people around me if I wanted to design a product. So what I do there is I try to join forces with someone who's very good at designing a new product and building that, and then I can help from my specific qualities. I can help him, and that's what I try to do all the time. So it's very important as a startup, to understand that you have your strong points, but you also have your weak points, and keep an open eye for that. I think that's one of the most important things to keep in mind and to consider when you are building with your company.
So you mentioned something concerning a lot of
I'm afraid the connection.
A lot of startup founders and people. So how important is that, and how important is, because a lot of people can say, well, they are HRs, right? They are people who are human resources agents, like those who manage people directly, those who are professionals in this. So how important do you think it is for an executive, a business owner, to be able to manage people? Do you think it's very important, or do you think it's something that can come in as a plus? Like,
it is. I think it is essential. If you are an executive in a company and you do not know how to join forces with the team you're working with, because an executive is never walking all by himself. He has a team around him and who is supporting him. But he needs to make sure that the team keeps supporting him. So there's a wonderful way of looking at your people in your team and looking clearly at their behavior. If you can see that they're working alongside with you, aiming for the same goal, aiming for the same direction, you're okay. But as soon as you see that some people within your team are not doing the best they can as you think, start investigating. Do not kick them out right away, because there might be a very sound reason why they are not cooperating with you, because they see something which you might have overlooked. And we don't have all the knowledge all the time. We make failures all the time. So it's important that you keep those people interested. There are 4 dynamics in leadership. And the first one is, how do we choose? And how do we make sure that the choice in this organization is supported by my whole team, which is supporting me? So if you look at how people are behaving towards that choice, you can very quickly see whether they are supporting you or not. When they are not supporting you, ask questions. Why are you not with me on this initiative? We're building, I don't know, a windmill. Doesn't matter what it is. We're building a windmill. Why are you not helping as good as I thought you could? What's going on? What's eating you? What's troubling you? Find out what's there and find a solution, because it will, at one side, it will help you to find a better solution and possibly better options. And on the other side, the other one is feeling heard and feeling understood. So he's much more keen to help you progress further. The second one, which is important, is how do we grow as a team and also as a leader? How do we understand what is important for our development as a team, and how do we develop further as a person, as a leader? You have to grow as well, and it has to come from you, from what's inside you and what you want to bring into this organization and to this team. But it is also needs to come from your team as well, because if they feel that they are taking part in this organization, making them all grow, you'll get a stronger team. The third dynamic is power. How do you wield power? Power is traditionally wielded in a way that I'm the executive, I tell you what to do. And that's not going to work, because people are going to resent that. They're going to protest. They're not doing that openly, they'll do it quietly. And you'll only notice it when it's too late. So make sure that the power leverage in your organization is at the right level. So if you have a team with, for instance, 2 or 3 people below you who are doing the daily operational things, make sure that they don't control the people below that in a way that it's not helpful. So that's a third one. And the fourth one is to try to make a connection. Any organization is a connection of people. People make the difference. So make sure that people feel that they take part in a common interest, a common goal, a common objective, and we are all going into that direction. And you can as a leader, you can look at the people and you can see what's happening. As soon as you're seeing what's happening, you can intervene.
Yeah, you've made a very great point there when you said it's great to connect with the people in the team and understand what they think about the idea, if they are supporting the idea or not. So what I would say is there are countless people, coaches, mentors from countless places around the world who have said fire fast. When I mean fire fast is they say lay off staffs fast, right? When you think that you're already off the vision, lay them off, right? So what do you think about that?
Well,
do you think we should,
it depends on how much value that person has for your organization. If you have someone who has a lot of knowledge about your product, your organization, you have to think twice. And a much better way then, I think, is trying to find out what's eating this person. Why is he counter effective? Why is he not cooperating? What's going on? Find it out. Try to listen what's going on. If you start to understand what the other one is hindering, what's hindering his performance, and you succeed in taking that away, you have gained a passionate employee who's going to work for you, who's going to help you. And that's every well-trained employee in your organization will cost you money to replace. So fire fast is for organizations who don't value their people properly. It's very important that you... Any organization is a group of people.
Yeah.
And the better you achieve the cooperation within the team, and that they have fun. And I've had it a few times with teams I ran. It was fun. We just had fun doing the work. And then you can work much harder with less energy, and you'll have fun all the time. And the success will come.
Yeah. So the whole thing about employees and how you should treat them, employees and how the relationship they should have with the company. A lot of people say give equity to your employees, right? So and this is all under the business management, to make them feel like they are part of the vision, to make them feel like they are really part of that goal, right? So what do you think about giving equity to employees, and also what do you think about the term work-life balance?
I didn't hear the last one, sorry.
What do you think about the term work-life balance? Do you think it exists? Like a lot of people lately have been saying, no, it doesn't exist. If an employee comes to the company, they should, be ready to work, right? There shouldn't be any work-life balance, right?
So
work-life balance shouldn't.
I think it's very important. In the end, we all derive our strength, our power from how our family is getting along. You go home every day, and you do not go to your work every day. So the most important thing is your life, your personal life, and giving asking of your people to give equal interest to your company as compared to your personal life is asking also that you partly give up your family. You make the company more important than their personal life. And in the end, nobody will tell when you die, he's always been such a good worker. Nobody will say that.
Right.
People will say he was a good man because he helped many people, and he was a social man, or he cared for people, or whatever. And that's what they tell at your funeral. They won't tell he was also a very good. It was always a very good employee. No, that's not what they're going to say. So the most important thing is, in the end, what are you to your dear ones, the one who you care about? And that's why the work balance is so important.
Yeah. So from what I've gotten from your statement, the life is a little bit, if not more important.
The connection is freezing, I'm afraid, Grace.
The normal life that you...
Sorry, the connection is freezing. So I missed it.
Okay, so what I said was, you made the comment about, life, the life outside work being more important than the life that a person has at the company. So when they introduce a a little equity structure, do you think
Mhm.
that changes the the the, the whole what it means, right? Do you think when they're
Yeah,
part of the goal, do you think it changes a little bit what makes it just work, right? Do you think
yeah,
when they are given equity, right?
yeah, and yeah, in some cases it can help because it can help to get people engaged a little bit more. But in the end, it also means that you are really buying the the commitment of your employees, which is in fact not really as valuable as when you are bringing it because it's so much fun to do this.
Hmm.
And yes, it sometimes can help. And for instance, when you are very successful as a company, which can happen, of course, sometimes it does happen, and you're very successful, you can
Hmm.
share part of the profit with your people because it helps you grow better, and it also gives a token of esteem to your people. But you have to be careful not trying to buy their loyalty. But you cannot buy loyalty. Not always. Yeah, you can for some time, but not for a long time.
Of course. Hmm. Yeah, so that really makes a lot of sense because just like you said, you cannot buy loyalty for long because you can't keep paying for that, right?
Mhm.
At some point, you're just gonna not be able to pay anymore. Either you think the person is not valuable enough anymore, right? Because what I've noticed, which is what a lot of people who have been laid off from, some of the big companies have said, is when they started with this company, for example, maybe from the time when they were just um, maybe looking for funding from VC, or the time when the company was still about 100 employees, 50 employees, 200 employees. And now that the company has gotten to 500, 1,000 employees, the, they that joined early seem not to be that important anymore, right? The little community they had, the little uh, thing that they had
The
in the
team,
company,
yeah.
right? Yeah, the teamwork. Everything seems to be more getting more corporate. And then before you speak to the CEO, you have to go through stages. Before you speak to even the team leader, you have to go through a secretary. Before you see, everything keep getting more corporate and corporate. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Everything keeps getting more corporate and corporate. Uh, 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 so what do you think is the way around this? Do you think it's to, open up access for employees, or do you think it's generally just an issue, a person issue, right? Do you think it's a person issue that is an issue of the particular executive?
I'm I know that every company that starts growing goes through a certain range of phases. At first, you're also like a family, and you're working long hours very often to create something, and it's your thing you've created. And then it starts growing, and you have to organize things in a different way to get it properly organized. And what then happens is that people start to don't feel like a family anymore so much. And it's important that you keep doing that. So what you can do is try to disperse your activities in small teams that communicate between the teams in a proper way, so you can keep this family feeling. And that's very important. And there's a few companies, especially private companies, still achieve that by keeping that family feeling and keep people really engaged to the organization. But when you're getting bigger than say 250 people, that will be very hard. So what a lot of organizations do is they try to um, use small units as a maximum of 100 people or maybe 50 people. It doesn't matter, depends on the organization, depends on the business you're in, depends on the branch you're in. But what they do is they try to make small teams who have a certain amount of autonomy, so they can build their own addition to the entire product, and do not try to do that too much in a management like way, because then you lose the connection with the people. It's very important that you do that.
Yeah, and I think I get a lot about what you're saying, because I have heard countless times when some people say that a company, some people have said that a company should be a team and not shouldn't give the employees a family feeling, because they're going to feel like at home. They wouldn't feel a need to up their game, be more active, and then be better at what they do. They feel a lot too relaxed when you make the company feel like family. So I think that explains a little bit about what the question I asked before, which is why why a lot of big companies do not seem to have this little community feeling to the employees. So what do you think about a company saying a company should be a team, they shouldn't get the family feeling, so that they don't get too lazy or too relaxed, and there's no more competition between the employees?
I think it's a misconception that you're not doing your very best for your family. We always try to get, at least in my view, we always try to do the best for the one who we care about. If we care about people, we try to do our best. But very often it's in such a way that many organizations, the leadership doesn't really care about their employees. And people feel that. They understand that. So then they get lazy or ineffective, or maybe even destructive. Could happen. Sometimes it does, not always, but sometimes it does, because what happens then is that people don't feel attached to the company anymore. They don't feel that they are part of a larger unit. In the end, an organization is as strong as the people who feel connected to each other to build something, to create something. It's like a tribe. And a tribe is working for each other, is helping each other, is making sure that they can survive, that they get food, that they get water, and so on. And if you are taking part in that, you are valued by the rest of the team. So your position grows, your situation grows, and even your salary can grow if you do that in a proper way.
Yeah, I think you made a very an amazing point here, which is that families, everyone does the best for someone they care about, something they care about, right? So I believe from what you said, my take from it is make the company something that the employees care about, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if they care about the company, they're gonna work towards it. That's just my take from what you just said now, and it is really, I think is a very amazing point that you just made, because when employees care about the company, it's not just about the profit anymore, it's about the solution that is provided by the company to the people out there. And I think it's going to make better companies, better products, better services, and overall, because a lot of times there's a case where someone was talking to me and they was saying, I called this customer support team, called their line, and the lady at the end was a little bit agitated, right? She wasn't so calm. normal customer support would be, calm, trying to find your problem, but it seems trying to solve your problem. But it seems this lady was, a little bit agitated, right? So I think these are all the consequences or the after effects of not having, a conducive environment for the
Yeah.
employees. And I don't think it's just about the employees, but it's about the solution that the company provides.
Yeah, and
The general.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Yeah, and the general thing that the company stands for, right? So you want to say something about it?
Yes, it's important that we keep on keeping an eye open for that, because what we do not see very often is that we are all much the same, but we're also very different. The problem is that everything we experience is created in our brain.
Yes.
Through our brain. But the problem is that our brain has only one source to get that experience from, which is our memory. And as our memories are all different, we all create a different experience. So what you very often have in organizations, that our people are talking to each other, but they're not really understanding each other, because they're trying to bring their idea of the situation forward, trying to convince the other one, this is the situation, this is what's happening, and maybe that's his point, but it could also be that there's someone else who has a different point, which is also quite near the mark. And the problem is that then you're trying to solve something which isn't possibly even there. And then you're wasting a lot of energy and time to solve something which is possibly not even a problem. So it's so important that we understand we have separate realities. We all have separate realities. And once we start to understand that we have separate realities, we can start to try to understand what the reality of the other one is, so you get a better understanding of what the entire image is, the entire situation is. Because I'm pretty good at one thing, you are very, very good at that, another thing, and we understand the situation in a different way. So we don't really talk together, we're talking next to each other or past each other.
Yeah.
And
I think you made it.
Yeah, and if I'm trying to convince you of that, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
What I'm trying to convince you of that, I'm going to push a little harder and push a little stronger, trying to convince you even more. But the problem is, then you feel not heard. You feel not understood. So there's something not okay within our relationship.
Yeah, I think that's a very good thing that you said, because I came across a video on social media where someone was saying, I don't learn by reading, right? That they don't learn by reading. So he was making this statement because a lot of people are saying reading books are very important. It's very important to read books. But he said, when I read books, I do not understand, right? I just read it, and then it's best for me when I listen to it, right? For him. So he was saying it's best when I listen to this, to the text, or maybe when I hear it in my ears, it's easier for me to understand, or when I do it with my hands, right? So, and I think that's all the diversity in our personalities, because
there's even some scientific research on that. We learn, I think, about 10% of what we read. I think 20% of what we hear, but we learn about 40% of what we do, and we learn 80% of what we teach. Something like that. I'm not sure about the figures, right now
Yeah,
because I don't have them available. But something like that. And it's amazing how much effect there is in actually doing stuff. Just doing stuff and trying to explain it to others, which will help you understand it much better.
Which I think is why the practicality of things are, people get a lot of learn a lot about what they have practiced, right? Because when you're practicing something, it seems as if you're teaching someone, right? When you're physically assuming you're fixing your car, for example, you're learning to fix a car, and when you're fixing it, it seems as if you're teaching something, right? You're teaching someone. So I think
you're teaching yourself also. You're teaching it to yourself.
Of course.
Yeah.
So I think that's why people retain that. So I think the fact that you mentioned the diversity of personalities and how the executives, the business managers should understand the diversity of personalities of individuals. I think that's an amazing statement you made there, because understanding different people will help you to know how this person can be the best. Right?
Yeah, and it gives you a better overview of what the real situation is, because we are walking around with blinders, more or less. We can only see what's in our awareness, and what's outside there we cannot see. We cannot even think about that. So if you have someone who has a different approach to something, which gives him a different idea of the situation, it might be worth your while. I wrote an article once about unmanageable people. You have these people within organizations which are against everything, and they are sometimes they're really a pain in the neck. But I say there is a reason for this. There is a reason why they are against almost everything. And if you take the time and the effort to really listen to those people, you might run into some golden ideas, because they have something totally different from other people. They look at it in a totally different way, and might give you an idea which would help your organization to blossom. It's so important that we understand that we are all different and the same as well, because we look a lot like each other. But it's also that we, in our differences, we can enrich each other.
Yeah, I think what you mentioned something very, very important right there, which is when you said that we only see something from our our awareness. We only see, it's like we are looking straight forward to something. It seems as if we are blind of every other thing around us. We are just looking towards a single place. I think that's very, very impressive that you say that, because a lot of times when we talk about leadership, we're trying to create someone who sees from other people's perspective. I think that's what a leader is.
Yeah, right? And there's sorry, let me add something to it. If it is important to you, what you are doing, you are more or less closing your diaphragm of looking at that. So it's what you're doing is making it smaller and smaller and smaller, and at the end you only see a very tiny part of that. And the rest you cannot see anymore, because you're so focused on that little thing that you cannot see the rest, which is still happening there around that, but you cannot see it. And it's very often because you are very focused on, I have to do this and then that and so and that in such a way. And yes, maybe, but be open to other options as well.
Yeah, and I think it makes a remarkable leader for him to be able, he or she to be able to see through other people's perspective, right? I think
you don't have to be a remarkable leader. You just have to be non-judgmental. Don't judge. Just listen. As soon as you stop judging other people, Judging is fine for things, but not for people. Judge your quality of your product. Judge the sub-product you're buying to create your product. Judge that, but don't judge your people. Ask, listen, find out what's going on. Find out why isn't it going the way I was intending it to. Maybe it's a better idea. Could be, but it's also possible that they haven't learned yet how to do that. So teach them. Either ways, you win.
Yeah, I think that's very, very important. You mentioned not to judge people, but judge every other thing around, maybe things, the strategies that you use, and every other thing. But not to channel the judging on the people. And I think that makes a lot of sense, because when you research, when you try to understand, when you ask questions, when you listen, you will understand it from there, you will see from that person's perspective. And I think that's what makes it a great leader, because you can listen, you can hear from the person, you can ask questions, and you're ready to find out, right?
Yes, and teach possibly.
Yes, and teach, because when you find out, then you know, okay, yeah, this is the place that this person is lacking. This is the place that I have not been seeing before, and now I'm seeing it because I have calmed down and looked from that person's perspective. I have researched, I have found out, I have asked questions, I have listened. Yeah. And now I understand, I see from that person's perspective. So when I talk about seeing from the person's perspective, I'm talking about, being able to understand what the person has understood, because there may be something that your knowledge, the knowledge you have about something may be higher than what the person has, but there may also be the critical aspects, because when we get big, we tend to neglect the little things. So at the little stage that they are at, there are little things that they might notice that you at the top will not notice. So I think it's very great to listen from the ground up, right? To understand the whole landscape and understand everything. Because a lot of executives are set so high that even
they are taught in the wrong way. They have been taught, you are the leader, you have to tell how it goes, and that's not true. It's nonsense. It's complete nonsense, because who can know it all? Well, depends on what religion you're a part of, but most of the time that's God. That's the one who knows all, but we don't. And the funny thing is, as soon as you are promoted to a leadership role, it doesn't mean that you get additional know-how or information. No.
Exactly. I think you made a very, very important point here. When people are promoted, they tend to think that there's a new knowledge that comes from getting promoted. But what I really think is, when you get promoted, you are promoted to see from a broader perspective, right? To see, on from a bigger lens, right?
Yes, so and to help other people perform better.
Exactly.
That's your role.
And you shouldn't neglect the place that you are at, because when you neglect that lens, like when you no longer see from that position, then you'll not be able to perfectly mentor, perfectly teach, listen, and ask questions from the person who is now occupying that position. I think that's the problem with a lot of executives and people who have been most of the times appointed in higher positions in companies, in businesses and companies and organizations. Because when you go up there, sometimes they think, now I am the leader, now I tell you what to do, right? Yeah. And just like you said, it's nonsense, because you don't, you shouldn't see from that or perspective alone. You should be able to gather the knowledges you had, because why we trust leaders is because we believe they have a lot of knowledge. We trust leaders because we believe they have a lot of knowledge. But a lot of leaders who are appointed to that position only come with strategy, right? Yeah. And they are not able to perfectly articulate and push that strategy for all the team members to work with them towards achieving that vision. They have a
Absolutely.
strategy, they have a route which they want to achieve that in through, but they don't want to carry everybody along. They just want to tell them what to do.
That's
So I
correct.
think that's
And that doesn't work because people know better for most of the time, because they do what they are supposed to do every day. So they have much more know-how of what their task is. They understand it more often much better than the guy who's leading them.
Exactly.
So why are you going to tell them how to do their work? That's crazy, isn't it?
Exactly.
There are three forms of communication. The first one is, I tell you what to do. That's the old-fashioned way of doing leadership. I'm telling you what to do, and you have to do it. That leads to one person being very satisfied with himself and saying, "Oh, I have to tell him what to do, and now he has to do it." And another person who says, I don't know whether he's right because he doesn't understand what I'm doing and doesn't know what I'm up against. I've got all these problems and stuff which don't happen. My deliveries are not coming in time, and so on and so on and so on. So he says, "Okay, well, I'll see and see how this goes." I've experienced that quite a few times with companies which hired in an executive leader and he was going to change it all around. And what you see is people, they start waiting. They don't do anything anymore. They stop doing things. They stop taking the initiative. They stop doing the good things.
Right. I think it closes a little bit the lens with the little people see, because they are now used to taking tax, right? They are no more working to achieve the goal of the company. They are not just taking tax from the leader, right? They're just do this, deliver this product in 3 months, deliver this, build this in 3 months, analyze this and bring me the full documentation of the analysis you have done. Do everything, just tasks and tasks and tasks and tasks all around the place, right? And the person is no longer working for, even if they loved the job before, they're no more working the job they love, right? They're not like basically doing what you want them to do, right? So, but sometimes, of course, we're not trying to say that the leaders are all wrong, right? There are things that they might say, which of course they have seen that from a bigger lens and they understand that this can work. But it doesn't hurt to explain that to the juniors, right? To explain that to the team members, help them understand, and let's push that. Everybody's not going to agree with the leader, but when everybody disagrees with the leader, then the leader has something wrong with it. So when everybody is agreeing with it, everybody cannot agree with the leader, but when everybody disagrees with the leader, he needs to be asked questions. She needs to be asked questions, because there's something wrong, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely, and it happens way too often, far too often. It's far too often that there are leaders who have been trained in a traditional way and go into an organization and they destroy more than they could build.
Yes.
Well, the second way of communicating is trying to find the middle way. And here in the Netherlands, we are quite well known for that, because our country is very close to the sea. And we had a lot of seawater coming in through the ages. So what we did, we built dikes and polders and stuff like that to create a more or less safe environment. Now, if you fly to Schiphol, which is near to Amsterdam, the airport is 6 meters below sea level. And that is because we have built a dike around a big lake taken all the water out. And now it's land. But we have to keep on taking the water out, because otherwise it will fill up again at some stage. So and so there's all the people around that. So the farmers and the people who own the land and the workers and everyone there work together in some way to get this done through the ages. We've done this for ages. We've done this since, I think, 1600 or something like that. So, and we are quite, as Dutch, we are quite well known for doing all kinds of waterworks. And that's nice. But the problem is with trying to find the middle road is that it's never a really successful end result, because everyone has to be more or less happy about it. And in the end, if everyone's more or less happy about it, no one's really happy about it. And that's okay as long as you want to do some stuff which is not really, well, highly valued. But it's not so good when you really want to make a difference in the market, if you want to excel. And then you need the third form of communication, which is just trying to understand the other person. So when you are a leader and you really try to understand what's going on within your team, within the organization, within the group of people around you, and you even go so far as to offer them arguments for their situation, the thing they describe, then they feel heard, they feel understood. And then something else happens, they start listening to you. Because you have taken the trouble of listening to them, then they're more or less obliged to listen to you as well. So you create room to understand each other.
Yeah, I think that's... Go ahead.
And the great advantage of that is that you will find better solutions to anything. You'll get the best possible solution for any situation you have. But most problems we had recently, we had a scandal here in the Netherlands because there was this guy who made three-wheel bikes with a sort of a wheelbarrow type bike. And what happened is that the frames of the bikes weren't made properly, so they broke. Well, you can imagine if you have your children in that wheelbarrow, sitting in a wheelbarrow, you're driving through the city, and your bike breaks down, breaks in two. That's not very agreeable. That's not fine. There have been some nasty accidents with that. So there was a big scandal. But what happened there is that the leadership didn't listen to what's going on. The people in the organization knew what was going on, but they're trying to hide it away. And it became a big scandal. And that's the end of the organization, probably.
Yeah, that's really bad for them, I would say. So, but before we I think we have talked about various things here, and we would like to pick up next time. But before we go, looking ahead, what do you think will be the biggest challenges and opportunities for business managers in the next 5-10 years?
Well, Einstein once said, "We cannot solve the current problems with the thinking it created. We need different thinking." And the problem is that we have been trained, and we are still being trained, to think in the same way. And what I'm trying to bring forward is we need to think in a different way. And we know that because we all have those moments where you have a sudden insight in what's going on, what's happening. Most of the time, that's in a situation where you are relaxed. I call them my morning shower moments. When I'm in the shower in the morning, I relax and I suddenly get all these ideas. And what I teach people is have more of those ideas throughout the day. And that's very valuable, because then you can get to the core of the thing. And we need to do that because the world is changing faster and faster and faster. And there are demands on people are getting higher and higher and higher. And we need solutions for that.
Yeah,
so we need to increase our quality of thinking.
Quality of thinking. Got it. So you have been in business management for 25 years. So what advice would you give to someone who's new to management or aspiring to become a business leader? What are the things that you think they should have? What are the things that you think are very, very important for them to start, the journey?
Now, a few things. When I look at management in organizations right now, it is ruled mainly by fear. People are afraid of what's happening, of what could happen, or what's going to happen. And that's because they are trying to predict the future. The problem is, in our brain, we only have a memory, which is old information. And what we try to do is to derive from that memory, we try to paint a picture of the future. But it's never okay. And our brain knows that, so they start to panic a little bit. And they don't know how to handle that. And we have been developed as a species, the human species, that we can respond in the moment excellently. Yes, of course, you have to make plans, you have to set goals and so on. But don't let yourself be guided by your fear. And the second one is, any organization is a people organization. You're dependent on the people, and if you know how to work with people, you can make anything into a success.
Thank you for that. Finally, how can our listeners connect with you? How can they find your work? How can they learn about your work? Where can they find you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn, so you can find me there with my name, Swier Miedema. I have a website which is called swiermiedema.com, and you can find me there. You can also reach me through email. And my email address is swier@swiermiedema.com, so it's quite simple. Hopefully.
Yeah, of course it's simple. Thank you for this time. Thank you for your time. It's great, and I'll keep connecting with you next time. I hope you're here also next time, and I hope we talk.
I'd like to, Praise. It's a nice conversation, and I noticed you know also a lot of companies, and you have a lot of experience in this, so it's good. It's good to have a chat like this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll connect next time, and it's great to have all of you listening to us. It's great to have all of you watching. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and also be able to go to YouTube and search for Swier Miedema, right? Miedema, right?
Miedema, yeah, it's a tricky one, yeah.
Yeah, Swier Miedema on YouTube, and you can also subscribe to his channel also. Thank you all for joining, and we'll catch up next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.